Welcome to the How Did Show, where interesting people answer the questions, how did I get here? And how in the hell did I get here? With your host, Donovan Corneets.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me on another amazing episode of the How Did Show. And man, we got a special guest for you today. So let me tell you a little bit about this person. So today's guest is a radio and TV powerhouse, from appearing on TMZ to being a red carpet correspondent for events like the BET Awards and the Grammys, yes, the Grammys, to building the #1 radio show in the Raleigh-Durham market, to now bringing that same success to WHUR in her hometown DMV area. She is not to be taken lightly in this industry. So y'all, join me in welcoming Autumn-Joi. What's up?
The crowd goes wild.
They're going crazy.
Yeah. Hello, Donovan. How are you, my friend?
I am wonderfully amazing. Life is great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm blessed and highly favored. I have learned to start saying that when anybody ever asks how I'm doing, I just say that.
Well, if it's true, it's true. It is what it is. You're very colorful. I like it. Very cultured.
Thank you. I blew my hair out right before this interview. I was like, you know what? I'm giving Donovan #BlackGirlMagic this whole interview. The shirt,
all
the
about
earrings,
that
the hair,
black.
everything.
Everything. Yeah, I didn't have to blow mine out. But thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you on the show. So look, we're going to get right into it. This is the How Did Show. And the first part of that is you answering the question, how did I get here?
That's a great question. How did I get to having the #1 midday show in Washington, D.C.?
Go ahead and flex on them.
But you know what? I'll start here. I got when I graduated from high school, I was heavily sought after in the track and field arena. So I had gotten a couple of offers from some major D1 schools to run track. And I decided to go to Little Bethune-Cookman down in Daytona Beach, Florida, which is an HBCU. And I solely chose that because it was the beach and it was Florida and I'd never been. And I was so excited. I want to go to the beach. Yay. But, I got down there, got my first little boyfriend, and my parents were like, all right, you're not focusing on track. So it's time for you to hightail it back here to Maryland. So I get back home and I literally just sat out for a year. I was not in school at all, just working a 9 to 5. And that was hard, going from Daytona Beach, 18, 19-year-olds to waking up at 6 a.m. to go to work every day with your mom. So
bit of a culture shock. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. So I'm driving home one day and I hear a commercial on the radio looking for interns, looking for people that wanted to work at the radio station. And I remembered when I was in Florida, they had a little student station and I was always interested. I was like, well, you know what? People tell me I have the gift of gab. I make people laugh. I think this could be something I could do. And so I just went out for it. And true story, Donovan, I put on some jeans, some thigh-high stiletto boots, a little crop top fur jacket. I had my big shades, my purse. I'm thinking this is hip hop radio, so I need to look as hip hop as possible. So I get in
Fresh
there.
out the music video.
Right. I get in there and literally everybody else that was there for the internships had on knee-length skirts and button-up tops and ties and a jacket. And here comes little Mary J. Blige walking through the door, looking, like you said, fresh out of a music video. So immediately I was like, oh my God, I am not going to get this position. These people look like they're about business, and why would they want me? So they called me back, and I interviewed with two girls. This girl named Sarah O'Connor and Majima Pritchett. And I attribute my career to these girls, especially Sarah, to this day, because
shout out Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah's dope. She's the one that saw my potential and was like, look, I'm going to put you on the programming side. And of course, at that time, I had no idea what radio terminology meant. I just thought I was going to be passing out T-shirts and water on hot summer days as the intern. But she was like, no, I'm going to put you with Donnie Simpson. I was like, the Donnie Simpson? Green Eyes Donnie Simpson? BET Donnie Simpson?
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I think you'd be a good fit, And so I got my first internship under Donnie Simpson. I had to be there to the radio station at 5 a.m. every day. And he was the first person that put me on air. So that summer was the first summer of American Idol. That was with Justin Guarini and Kelly Clarkson. I remember that. Yeah. And so he one day was just like, hey, Autumn, do you watch American Idol? I was like, yeah, I watch American Idol, of course. He's like, all right, here, sit right here, grab those headphones. And I'm like, all right, still oblivious to like what is about to happen. So he cuts back to they cut back from commercial. He comes in, and he does his thing. And then he's like, all right, and I've got my intern Autumn here. And I was like, headphones on, like, hey guys, and yeah. And so he's like, we started talking about American Idol. And so from that point on, I became what he called his idol chatterer. So he was the first person to let me crack the mic and, kind of, get the first mic cracking jitters out of the way, if you will. Yeah. And then from that point on, I just never looked back. I went back to school, and every summer, whenever we would get our refund checks, I would just book a flight and go and intern. So that next summer, I interned at 99 Jams in Miami with shout out to Shelby Russian. She did middays down there. From there, I filled in for DJ Khaled whenever he was out for his show, the Takeover show.
Nice.
From there, I ended up moving to New York for a little while and worked at This Is 50 and Shade 45 and co-hosted with 50 Cent a few times. I was on the Gomez Brothers show. I did like their gossip segment every now and then, so, I just kind of inputted myself in places. And I was never scared to travel. I was a very traveling kind of gal, looking back on it, it was pretty scary, the stuff that I did. But I mean, in those moments, I was just excited.
Grind,
it was like you said, the grind. But then I did hit like a brick wall. When I was in New York, the position that I had at Shade 45 and This Is 50 began to dissolve for reasons that to this day I just am very annoyed by. But and that's what happens when
we'll move on by that.
Yeah,
I know it's
exactly.
It's tough.
It's tough. So yeah, I'm like, bye. But yes, so I came back to Maryland from New York, and I actually got a job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where they pick you up. I was there, and that was a very humbling experience, hearing people say, you have a voice for radio, you should be doing A, B, and C. And I'm just like, here, take your keys to your rental car, have a good day, so that was hard, but I never fully gave up on my dream. I launched Star Power Radio, which was an internet radio show at the time. And it was hugely popular. I was able to utilize like my relationships with people that I had from the past, the Wale's, Kevin Durant, Drea from Basketball Wives, Shy Glizzy.
Drop them names, Autumn. Good grief.
Yeah. And this was all my, this was my internet radio show. And this was before internet radio and podcasts were really like a thing. Right. So to be that popular on that platform and have as many downloads, I'm still very proud of that. Nice. And so randomly one day, a friend of mine that has a studio, he was like, Autumn, you used to sound good on the radio, because I forgot, I did get overnights at WKYS for a stint as well. Okay. And he was like, you should get back into radio. And I'm just like, all right. So I did an air check, which is, as you know, like a voice resume. And when I did the air check, I just like shot it out cold to all of the PDs whose emails I had. I was on Google, Googling PDs, getting their emails. I sent out maybe like 55 emails. One person responded. Wow. That was it. And and that one person that responded, shout out to Al Payne. He was a PD that I had worked with when I was doing overnights. And he was like, hey, Autumn, you're still in radio? Wow. Yeah. And just love it. He's always loved me. Long story short, he's the one that brought me back into radio. So I got 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. out in Baltimore at 92Q. So I was there. From there, I ended up getting middays down in Raleigh. And that's where I really... Shout out to Raleigh, my girl Karen Clark. What's up, girl? But yeah, it was, I think Raleigh is where I really grew as a personality. Right. That's where I really figured out who Autumn-Joi Live was. I wasn't trying to sound like anybody else. And for the first time, I really had like my own mainstream show in prime time. And so I was able to, and thank God I did go to Raleigh, because that's where I was able to make my mistakes. That's where I was able to just grow. And that's where I was able to really just like have people to believe in what I was doing.
Right.
And so from Raleigh, Al Payne, who became the PD at HUR, hit me up and was like, Autumn, listen, I'm the new PD at HUR. I'm going to bring you up here to do middays. Now, mind you, I'm in like the thick of Raleigh, like, okay, Al, and
Yeah,
HUR
I'm
is
number
urban
one
AC.
here. I don't know if you know.
Right. But yes, DC is a bigger market, but
of course, yeah,
I don't know. They're urban AC. I'm hip hop. I don't know if I'm ready to go from introducing Cardi B to the OJs, you know? So that's a huge transition.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, don't worry, I'm in the process of younging down the station. So I'm like, all right, Al, we'll chat. So like a year later, he came back around and was like, all right, I got the position. I got the position opening. I was able to move certain things out of the way. I'm ready for you. And at that time, I was like, well, ironically enough, I'm ready to come home too. Because by then I just started to feel like a big fish in a small pond. So, the opportunity at WHUR became available. I got middays, and tomorrow is at the 23rd, I believe, that's my 1-year anniversary for being on air. So yay.
Congrats. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
No, that's incredible. Like, and I moved, like now I'm in the Atlanta area, but I moved from Raleigh. I lived in Durham for 17 years. I was there. So that's why I'm friends with Karen also. But yeah, so I know about like your kind of growth and meteoric rise while being in the triangle. So yeah, big props to you. So really quick off of that. So where did Autumn-Joi Live come from?
Autumn-Joi Live, I would say probably the Raleigh market. Well, I will say this. I initially was your favorite girl, Autumn-Joi, but then somebody got upset. I guess apparently they were using that tagline. I had never heard it, but whatevs. And so I was like, you know what, sis, you go ahead and have that. Right. And so it wasn't until I got to Raleigh and where I was like, okay, I got to come up with something. I got to figure out something else. And like the live just kind of came, you know, and then that's where the
radio, live events.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Well, I got to call my followers something, my listeners. That's where the live squad came from. So
love it.
You know, everything just kind of grew within that Raleigh market, which brings me back to what I was saying about being in those smaller markets, you know, really helps you. It polishes you.
Yeah.
It helps you grow. Yeah. So when you go into like a DC market and a bigger market where I am now, it's easier for me to come and take over because I'm way more confident with who I am.
Right.
And I've failed in a smaller market. So when I got to the bigger market, I knew what not to do, if that makes sense.
You knew what you were doing by then. No, that's great. And I love the part of your how did I get here story about like, once you realize what you wanted to do, was like, I'm taking a flight here. I'm going to intern here every summer. I'm going someplace. Somebody's going to listen to me, damn it. And just like having that fire and that drive, like that's incredible. And one of my favorite parts of doing this show is to hear so many different people's perspectives on what they did to like sacrifice and pursue their dream. Because of course I have, you know, stories of things I did to kind of live my dream. And so that's really inspiring. And, you know, kind of a note to anyone that wants to pursue something that they feel is a bit too competitive or out of reach. You got to put the work in.
Yeah.
You got to make people know who you are, force them to listen to you, force them to know who you are. So good for you, Autumn-Joi Live.
Thank you so much.
Love it. So, all right, now it's time for
the Wheel of What?
So we're going to bring this bad boy into the picture right here.
I love your makeshift board, by the way. It's pretty cool.
Makeshift hell? What are you talking about? This is official. This is one step from being like Wheel of Fortune. What are you talking about? All right. So we're going to go ahead and spin this thing. And whatever it lands on, we need an honest answer. All right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And we got special item.
Oh.
So do you have a special item around? If you don't, we'll respin.
Let's respin because, you know, that's the one that you were telling me that I was like, I hope I don't get that.
Yeah, okay. You know what? we'll edit that and we'll do this again. We're gonna spin it.
Let's go. Spin it, spin it, spin it.
You got it again? All right.
Again.
You might leave this in. People need to, oh my God. 3 in a row. Are you serious? All right. Now you go find something in your house. I love this spatula.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Chicken horse.
Chicken horse.
Okay. I'll deal with chicken horse. All right. So this is a ridiculous question,
Okay.
as you could probably tell. So here's the scenario, Autumn. You are trapped. You have to survive. Okay. You have to either take on, in a fight to the death, 5 horse-sized chickens or 20 chicken-sized horses. Which do you choose and why?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh wait. Look, let me mentally figure out what that looks like. Okay, 5 horse-sized chickens or I'm gonna go with 5 horse-sized chickens because chickens can't fly and their wings are little, and so I can just like run like really fast in circles, I guess.
Different circles,
because all they can do is like peck at me. Whereas the horses, they're massive, so they can chase me down.
Well, no,
and,
they're
like,
chicken-sized. These are
wait.
chicken-sized horses. You got 20 of them though. You got 20 horses that are the size of chickens or 5 chickens that are the size of horses.
Oh, then I'm going with the horses that are the size of the chickens. Okay.
There you go. Okay. All right. Now you're making more sense. All right, cool. I was like, damn, she taking all the big ass chickens.
I would kick the horses. Just kick them out the way. Pop, pop, pop,
Bring
pop.
those stilettos that you wore to that first interview and just like
exactly. Hit him with my fur coat. Hit him with the Mary J. Blige dance.
Hit him with it. Okay. Oh yeah, they gotta get the. All right, so that's much better answer now that you fully understand the question.
Yes.
And I tried to warn you, it's a ridiculous question, but I love it. Okay, so now that brings us to the second part of the How Did Show, and that's a story that made you look around and say, Autumn, how in the hell did I get here? What do you got?
Wow. Let's see. I'll have to say it's kind of twofold.
Okay.
When I first started doing TMZ, because that is such a huge platform.
Right.
But then the second part of that was when I started to be a regular on Fox 5, on their entertainment segments, because again, that's such a huge platform.
Right.
And the fact that there were people, in this market who were still trying to get on television for years, whereas I got here, this time last year, and within a month I was on, and then ever since then I've been on 2-3 times a week sometimes. So there is a moment where I'm like, how in the hell did I get here? Like, but not just that, but so quickly. But then it takes me back to just having favor. I put positivity into the universe. I never speak ill of people. I'm a very positive, nice person. And so I do think that that helps out, having good karma really does help out. And then being talented, I feel like TMZ definitely helped me with that, help groom me for Fox 5 and to be able to be a regular on there.
Okay. So was being on TV always part of like what you wanted, or were you thinking like strictly radio? Maybe, you have your appearances and stuff, but like actually being a regular on TV, was that part of the
Donovan,
plan?
Do I have a face for radio? Absolutely not. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, no, radio is my passion. Radio has always been my dream. And I just feel like radio and television just kind of go hand in hand, look at like Steve Harvey, you know what I'm saying? Like he does both and does both very well. So I do feel like, I don't want to just stifle my career and say, oh, radio, that's it. Whereas, when I'm good on TV as well, so yeah, I've always loved television. I've always been interested in all areas of entertainment. Maybe not comedy. Maybe I'll dabble in that a little bit later on. I don't know if I'm funny enough, but
I don't know. I think you got some stuff going on. I think, a little something. I've seen some of the videos of you kind of dancing a little bit crazy there. Some of your past videos with Karen, the scenarios you guys would end up in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just saying, don't count yourself out.
You're
Okay?
right. You're right, Donovan.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Girl Magic, damn it.
Hashtag Black Girl Magic. Let's do it. I'm here for it.
So, what about radio? Like, I know people said, "Oh, you got the gift of gab, and you should try it." So, what was it that actually sparked? Like, what was it when you tried it? And you're like, "Okay, yeah, I can do this."
Yeah, that moment that I was telling you about when Donnie Simpson
Right.
allowed me to talk, when I first heard my voice in HD and
Yeah.
like how crisp it sounded and how unique it sounded, even I was like, "Oh, okay. I can really do this." Because again, I didn't know anything about radio. I just was
Right.
coming into it thinking like, "Oh, all right, I don't mind passing out t-shirts and being,
Right,
an
right.
intern for life, whatever." But then when I heard myself in that moment, that's when I knew. I said, "You know what? Yeah, I sound good." Because that's a big part of it, as you know,
Yeah,
Donovan. That's why you
yeah.
have such a huge. You're so successful with voiceover work because you have that unique, crisp sound where everybody
Right,
can
thank you.
understand. Where everybody can understand what you're saying. So
Right. What was it like the first time, or do you remember the first time being out and being recognized as Autumn-Joi?
Funny because it actually wasn't from radio. It was from the reality show that I did years ago.
Oh my goodness, how could I forget about that? I think that could have
Yeah.
also been a pretty good "How the hell did I get here?"
Yeah. It was, I would say from that moment, from the reality TV show that I
Okay,
did.
yeah, that makes sense.
But I will say it was probably I'll say maybe when I was in Raleigh. When I was in Raleigh, when my social media really started to pick up and really started to blow up,
Yeah.
and I was posting more, doing more funny things, and being more visual, if you will.
Right.
That's when like I would go randomly to the grocery store and somebody would say it's usually either your voice sounds familiar, I've heard you somewhere,
Right.
and I'll get that, and then I'll get like, I know your face, like where have I seen you? So it's
Right.
twofold. It's either from TV or from my social media. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for all of that. I hope you had a good time. This was
I
fun.
did. This was fun. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So, really quick, how can people find you? What do you have going on? What do you have to plug? Shout yourself out.
Absolutely. Hey guys. So you can find me on all social media platforms, Autumn-Joi Live, and it's Joy with an I, and live, all one word, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find me. I'm also on WHUR 96.3, which is Howard University's radio. I come on middays, so I do 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Thank you everybody for making us the #1 listened to radio station in the DMV. Yeah, like we literally broke a record. Like we set a record in the history of the station with the highest numbers they've ever seen this past book. So I'm really just excited to be a part of the winning team, and I just look forward to continuing to win. Donovan, thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan of you.
Well,
Congratulations to all of your success, and just thank you for having me on your platform.
No, thank you for being. This is a pleasure, and I'm so glad to hear your story. And I know it's going to inspire somebody out there that's listening. You know what? I kind of feel the same way. I think I can do that. So, but you got to do the work. You got to put the work in. So, thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully at some point when Earth is safe for everybody, you could like have an interview in person or something.
Let's do it. I'm game.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Donovan.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me for the How Did Show. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment. And definitely be sure to look out for more new episodes coming very soon. Peace.